To capture an audience's attention, you have to tell the right story. So, what's the right story? Let's find out. You will not believe what happened to me this week. But before I tell you the story, I want to talk to you about something that is very important. It is storytelling. Storytelling is very essential when it comes to letting your creativity out. You could present a piece of art and people could just see colors, just could see like a mess of something. But if you explain your story behind this art piece, they will start to judge it differently. Storytelling is crucial to being creative. So I'm going to tell you 2 versions of what happened to me this week. Then we'll talk about each one of them. You will see the difference between 1 and 2. This week was very difficult. My son was diagnosed with RSV, the virus, and we had to rush to the hospital. It was just nerve-wracking to us as parents, and we couldn't figure out what to do at home, so we had to get to the hospital. And being in the hospital, we were there for a few days, and now he's a little bit healthier. He's still recovering, but we're trying to look towards the bright side. All right, so that was story 1. Now let's rewind and go back and tell the story again. Imagine yourself a father of a premature baby, born at 27 weeks, underdeveloped lungs, and fighting for his life for the first 4 months of his life. How would you feel? To be honest, that is my experience, and it was very difficult seeing my son with a mask for the first 4 months of his life. And when I saw him when they took off his mask, it was weird because I didn't recognize him. All those little things just made it very difficult. And growing up, he's been strong. He has kind of like a respiratory issues, so he has two different kinds of asthma inhalers. Recently this year, he was exposed to another kid who had RSV. If you don't know what RSV is, it's a virus that attacks the respiratory system of a kid or an older adult. And he got it. My little boy, who had issues breathing already, got this virus. And when we were at home, we thought it was just a regular cold. And we gave him medicine. We tried to keep his temperature down. And it was just getting worse and worse. He started breathing quicker, and that's when we knew we had to take him to the hospital. We drove over to the hospital. They put him in as a patient, and they put him on oxygen support. And once again, I saw him with a mask. The pain that I felt seeing him needing support again just took over me, and I felt hopeless. Through a few exams, we were able to see that he had water in his lungs, pneumonia, and I felt so bad for my little boy. I couldn't, it was just out of my hands. At night, I would hold him in my arms and just hear him breathing. It was very difficult. Today, he has been reduced on his oxygen support, and seeing him happier, playing, dancing, it's so comforting to me. It's crazy to see how one little life can impact you so hard emotionally and psychologically. It's hard being a father, but seeing him smile, dance, laugh, it just makes everything worth it. So which story did you prefer? 1 or 2? You most likely said 2. Maybe it's because it was longer. No, I'm just kidding. The way that I told the story made you release endorphins in your brain. You were attached to the story. You wanted to know what happened. You were emotionally involved. So some key points would be, first one is to have a catch. In this catch, you can you can relate to the audience saying, imagine yourself, or have you ever met somebody who so and so. Okay, just kind of grasp their attention. You don't necessarily have to say like once upon a time, okay? Because a person's attention, they normally start imagining within a few seconds of you starting a story, especially if it's a broader audience. But if you create a catch with it, like a question or something that brings them into your story, that is perfect. That's the perfect way to start storytelling. So the first one is try to catch their attention, catch them. And in order to keep them intrigued, you got to make them think a little bit. Ask them a question to get them intrigued, because when you ask them a question, they start pondering about that question, and they're more interested in what you're wanting to tell them. My third tip is to tell them the things that they need to know to understand the story better. For example, in my first story, when I told you, you probably just got, my son is sick, he got a virus. Okay, how many kids get sick and get viruses? On the second story, I told you kind of a backstory of what problems he has with his lungs. So when you heard that he had RSV, you might have felt more like an emotional drop. Tell them enough of the story for them to get emotionally attached. Make them feel your emotions, okay? And tell them what you need to in order for them to feel those things. Now, number 4 is creating a momentum, or most in storybooks, they say the climax of the story. You can do that by talking a little bit slower, allowing pauses, allowing silent moments for them to actually start thinking about your emotions, and then they will start feeling those emotions as well. So great storytellers know how to drive their emotions of their audience. 5th tip is to tell them the moral of the story. Part of this is to please do not say, so moral of the story is, and then you tell them, because that really is ripping them out of your story and throwing it in front of you. So it's kind of like a hey, you got to learn this moment. And the whole story will be ruined if you do this. So create your moral as part of the story. Just flow with it. Don't say moral of the story, because you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna pull them out of that emotional roller coaster that you put them in the beginning. Everybody has a story to tell, and with the points I just gave you, with the tips, I hope you can better explain them. Everyone has a story for everything. You might just be able to think of 5, 7, maybe 10 at most right now, but when the moments come, you're going to be able to tell that story a little bit better to grasp their emotion. Okay, well, thank you. That's everything for today. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And for now, let's get creative. Have a good one.